God has shone in our hearts to give the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. That's from the reading we heard from the second letter to the Corinthians. God shines in us so we can see God's glory in the face of Jesus. As I reflected on this, I was thinking about the face of Jesus, and I was thinking about our church and our worship space. And I was thinking, where have I seen images of Jesus in our worship space? And I'm sure that some of you will correct me will enlighten me after the end of our liturgy, but I couldn't picture images of Jesus at Saints Peter and Paul. And I actually was planning this week to go into the church and to record my sermon in the church just for a change of scene, which I'm sure you all would like, and to talk about images of Jesus. But then it started to snow and freeze, and I decided to do that another time. So I thought about, we have two beautiful paintings, one painting and one tapestry of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and several images of Peter and Paul, one of them a wonderful banner that Christy made, and of course, Our Lady of Walsingham, who is such an odd figure and one of my very favorites. But we don't have a place, or if we do, we can't get there right now, where we can sit and gaze at an image of Jesus. This being able to sit and gaze at a beautiful icon or painting or statue of our Lord can be a very special thing. And in a way, this is the disciples' experience during the Transfiguration on the top of that mountain, which is variously called Transfiguration Mountain or Mount Tabor, or I can't remember the third name for that mountain. But they're up there with him and they see him in a new way. They see him in a different light. There are churches that try to create, maybe not during a pandemic, but when there's not a pandemic, that try to create a transfiguration experience every Sunday with beautiful music, incredible icons or statues, stained glass. I love all that. It's beautiful. It's worthy. But because of who we are and because of COVID, we are forced to have our transfiguration experience right down here on the ground. Now, Matthew tells us at the end of Matthew's gospel that whenever we care for someone who is hungry or lonely or sick or in prison, we are, in fact, encountering Jesus. And I've been thinking about this week, thinking about the faces of Jesus that we encounter on the street. I mean, every time we drive past the encampments that are everywhere in our city, it is so tempting to look away or to sort of bemoan the state of the world, the state of everything. And yet there's a response that we can make, which is connecting with Jesus and seeing the face of Jesus in others. This week, I got super anxious about the weather and about our neighbors, people that we know that we see on Fridays and Sundays and Tuesdays, sleeping outside. And some of us grabbed a bunch of sleeping bags and blankets, which people had donated, and snacks and hot soup and hand warmers, and drove around on Wednesday night and gave out a ton of stuff. And I don't want to romanticize the people that we encounter in our neighborhoods. Now, many of them are meth addicts. Many of them get money in ways that we would not want to get money. Many of them are people that we want to care for, but because of their behavior or any number of other things, we wouldn't want them to stay in our house, even if there were not a pandemic. And yet, it's a way that we encounter Jesus down on the ground. We don't only find the face of Jesus in people that we know or people that we love, although that's never a bad place to start. But think about looking for Jesus in the faces of people that we struggle with the most. That grocery store clerk that never smiles back. That person, that family member who is so difficult, or the family member from whom we are estranged. I have a quote that's calligraphed in my office from Saint Irenaeus. It says, "The glory of God is a human being fully alive." The glory of God is a human being fully alive. This fully alive experience is what we encounter when we trudge down the mountain from the Transfiguration and look for Jesus in all of the people whom we meet. When we look for Jesus in all of the hard places where we don't want to go. Sometimes that is just looking in the mirror or looking at the person across the table from us. And sometimes it is looking at strangers that we see on the street. I have a friend who's a mountain climber and who hangs out with other mountain climbers. And this week he told me something he heard from some famous mountain climber guru, which is reaching the summit is optional. Coming down is mandatory. And I think that that is a perfect reflection on the Transfiguration experience and on the ways that we glorify God by seeing God's glory in the face of Jesus. So as we prepare for our Lenten journey and for the cross, I hope that we can travel together looking for the face of Christ.